My nearly adult female, parents divorced when I was 6. My dad remarried 3 years later to my stepmom, who has a kid, teen male. My stepbrother's dad is not in the picture, neither is my mom, so we both live full-time in the same house. I'm pretty close with my paternal grandparents because I spend a whole summer with them and help them around. My stepbrother's always invited, but he never comes. It's not that my grandparents don't love him or accept him, but they're not close. My granddad gave me his old truck for my birthday, and I was over the moon. It's a pretty classic that he owned when he was a teen and took real care of. It doesn't look brand new, but it works as well as when new, and it's super sentimental. I've loved that truck ever since I was a kid, and I'm so happy it's mine. My granddad and I were making plans so I could paint it pink and change the seats, but it turns out that, per my dad's comment, I can't since it's just not my truck, but also my stepbrother's. I said, my granddad gave it to me. It's mine, and I can do whatever I want with it. It's still under my granddad's name, but I pay the insurance and gas. My dad said it wasn't fair because they didn't get him a truck on his birthday, so it's only fair that I have to share. We fought for days, but I was eventually forced to give up the key so he could make a copy. I despise every moment my stepbrother drives my car. I hate my dad's schedule because it favors him, and I hate my stepbrother because he just went with it. To be honest, it never occurred to me to tell my granddad what was going on. This past Friday, he and my grandma came to give me a pink plate frame that he found and offered to change it for me. I said thank you, but that I couldn't, and I just spilled everything. The schedule, the forced sharing, the yelling, the copy of my key, and the fact that I couldn't change the truck to my liking because my stepbrother wasn't going to drive a pink car. Needless to say, my granddad was furious. He went inside and yelled at my dad, demanded my stepbrother's key, and said that if he ever drove that truck again without my permission, he'd call the police and get him arrested. My dad's mad, like really mad. He said it was wrong on so many levels because my stepbrother was innocent and that I made my granddad scold him for nothing. He called me a selfish and entitled brat and threatened to make me pay rent for what I did. My stepbrother called me an idiot and said I could have just asked for the truck. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. If they want your stepbrother to have a car, they'll have to buy him one. Your grandfather gave you his old car. It wasn't even you, so no one bought you a car. Your father and stepfather are embarrassed for getting caught stealing from you and your grandfather and getting called on it. They were supposed to be called on it. Is your stepbrother even on the insurance that you're paying? They are wrong on so many levels. I agree. Dad is absolutely bonkers. I'd be furious if I were the grandpa. OP is insured on the truck and pays for that. Grandpa is still on the title though, so he does have some potential liability. Clearly he's willing to live with that for his granddaughter. Without telling him, Dad set him up for significant liability by allowing a teen boy to drive the car. If I were Grandpa, this alone would be enough to make me livid. The rest of it would send me over the top. Have the truck painted pink, since your stepbrother's too manly to drive a pink car. It'll make the truck automatically unusable to him. Should have just asked meant nothing because when you just asked not to share your car, you were either scolded or ignored. Oh, and if Dad demands you pay rent, pack a bag and call your grandparents. Don't tell him. Tell him CPS would love to hear about how he's trying to charge his minor child rent for the basic housing he must provide. I think I know what's happening, and it's worse than just not letting you have your own car. Your dad is angry that he doesn't have a bio son. He's angry that his dad gave his truck to you, a girl, when it should have gone to a man like himself / his stepson. Some major toxic masculinity is going on here, and your family needs counseling. I'm starting to understand why your mother divorced your father. It seems as if he doesn't respect women at all. My wife has a weekly book club with her friends, and I'm happy she takes the time to enjoy her hobbies and connect with friends. The issue is that she volunteered to host the club in our home, and I'm not allowed to be there while they're meeting. So while I don't mind busying myself for an hour once in a while, they meet weekly for 3 to 4 hours at a time. She says there's a no men rule because the women share private things, which I understand and respect, but I also don't think it's fair for them to expect me to get kicked out of my own home for most of my weekend. Especially since I work 6 days a week. We both work, but I work more days, and I only have that one Saturday off. I also prefer to spend the extra time playing video games, so it's not like I could take my computer to Starbucks with me. I've offered to put on headphones and stay in the bedroom, but she says the women will still feel my presence. I've asked if the women could take turns hosting, but she says all of the women have reasons why they can't host, including, which I thought was irritating, some of their husbands not wanting to leave their home for so many hours. I've also asked if they could meet at a coffee shop and even offered to help pay to rent a meeting room somewhere, but she said that they felt more comfortable in a home. This has been going on for 2 months now, and last week I told my wife I couldn't keep this up anymore, and she had to find a solution herself, because I've given her so many options already, and gave her the heads up that I wasn't leaving this weekend. I think she thought I was bluffing, but come Saturday I stayed home. Out of respect, I stayed in the bedroom where everyone came over, but they knew I was there, and I could tell the meeting got cut short because of that. My wife and I had a huge row afterward, and here we are now. She's not talking to me, and I'm pretty angry, but I'm not sure who's really in the wrong here. Not the idiot. You are right. It's a bit much to be kicked out of your house every week, and you've offered her compromises, and it's not been well received. That makes your wife the idiot. I reckon you should arrange a boys' nights with sports and all, and tell her she needs to leave. Yeah, what on earth is that about? The women will sense the essence of a man in the house? They'll detect an aura of maleness and be put on edge knowing that a gasp man is somewhere in the building? I completely get why in some situations, some women may, due to past trauma, not feel comfortable around a man they don't know, but this isn't one of those situations. This is their friend's husband in his own home, and it's not like he's sitting there in the middle of things. He's off in another room doing his own thing. Something about this whole scenario just doesn't feel right. I can't even put into words, which is so frustrating, but yeah, something is off here. OP's wife is being exceptionally inconsiderate and selfish. She chose the day to accommodate everybody in the book club except her husband, and she's being more considerate to the husbands of her club mates than her own. I have to wonder what this woman is thinking. If my spouse showed more consideration to their club members and their spouses than me, we would have a big problem. I think this is some kind of flex for her. Their husbands won't leave, but I have mine wrapped around my little finger. Plus, it's obvious that they're talking crap about their husbands during this club, maybe even about some indiscretions. Dude, you're at work 6 days, and the only day your wife can host a book club that takes up a third of the day is your day off? My man, your wife does not want you around. This is intentional. I'm male 37, have a daughter, now a young teen, Olivia, from my former relationship. Currently, I'm married to my wife who has a daughter, teen, Brittany. So Brittany is the opposite of Olivia. For example, Brittany's a social kid, and Olivia's an introvert. The list is long, but they're just complete opposites. Olivia's birthday was 2 days ago. She loves chocolate, and I decided this was the flavor I would go with when I contacted the bakery. However, my wife objected since Brittany hates chocolate and suggested we go with vanilla. I said no way because, for one, Olivia hates vanilla, and it's also her birthday, so she gets to have her cake with her favorite flavor. My wife got upset and took it as if I had no regard for Brittany and that we should choose another neutral flavor instead. I shut that down and said no more discussing this because I'd already decided to go with what Olivia wanted. On the birthday day, I was supposed to go get the cake, but I was surprised to see my wife coming home after picking the cake up from the bakery. I looked at it and discovered that it wasn't a chocolate cake, but a vanilla cake with small pieces of chocolate. I got angry thinking they got my order wrong and was about to contact them, but my wife said that there was no mistake, and she called the bakery the day before and made slight changes to the cake to please both girls. I was stunned. I lost it on her and asked her why the heck she did that. She got defensive saying that birthdays are no excuse to show favoritism and that her daughter is watching and observing how I'm treating both girls. I told her off since I was paying, then called the bakery and explained what had happened. I had the cake returned and replaced with a chocolate cake. Although this one is smaller, it was fine. My wife declined to participate in the celebration. Later, we got into a huge argument where she called me controlling and selfish for returning the cake instead of using this opportunity to teach Olivia to compromise so everyone's happy. So now I'm teaching her to be selfish. I said that my daughter gets to act selfish on her birthday and that she, my wife, was teaching her daughter to be entitled, word for word, and it led to the bigger argument. We're not talking as of now. Am I the idiot for returning the cake and not considering my wife's input? Not the idiot. Your wife is an idiot for going behind your back. The cake was vanilla to make Brittany happy, with tiny bits of chocolate for the birthday girl. Why can't Brittany learn to compromise? She's older, and she should know that she can't get what she wants on a day that's not her birthday. A birthday cake is for the person whose birthday it is. It's not selfish or demeaning to get the person's favorite flavor. For example, your stepdaughter could have had a vanilla cupcake. But OP, do you see the flags? Your wife is projecting onto you because she's the one showing favoritism. You did well in changing the cake, but you have way bigger problems in your home. She did this flagrantly, which tells me she's been messing with your kid for a while. You probably just caught on. Exactly. Keep a very keen eye on both your stepdaughter and most of all your wife. Should she try some of this again, divorce her before she does lasting damage to your child. Bad people are often sneaky. This is just the first incident that you've noticed. You should take your daughter out on a daddy-daughter date so she's out of the house and feels safe, and ask if similar things have happened. So I, female 28, have been dating my boyfriend, 31, for 7 months. His family is of Italian origins, and they take great pride in it. They invited me over to their house several times. Last night, his parents came to the apartment for the first time. They said they were visiting a friend and decided to stop by for dinner. I freaked out when they said dinner because it was late, and I was working and had no time to cook. So I ordered pizza for all of us. The second his parents saw the pizza, they got angry. His dad gave me a nasty stare and then said that I intentionally served them pizza just because they were Italian. In other words, he claimed I was mocking them in their food and assuming that just because they're Italian, that they'd only eat Italian food, which he called racist. I was confused. I said I didn't think it was interpreted that way, but he said, if you have Asian guests over, do you serve them sushi? How would you like it if we only serve you McDonald's and fries every time you visit, since that's what Americans eat? I was stunned by his words. Basically, he was saying that just because they're Italian, I shouldn't assume that they'd like to have pizza, but who doesn't like pizza? He and my boyfriend's mom got up and said that they wanted to leave. My boyfriend tried to get them to stay and take it easy, but they left eventually. He blew up, saying I messed up by serving them pizza and insulting them indirectly. He told me to call and apologize, but I said no, and that I didn't have time to cook anything after they showed up unexpectedly. He got more upset and asked if his parents needed permission to visit him. I backed off, thinking he'd calm down, but he kept saying that I insulted his parents and I needed to apologize. I'm utterly and genuinely confused. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I mean, if your boyfriend was so upset that his parents got pizza, why didn't he cook for them? Tell the boyfriend that he can figure out dinner next time he brings over rude guests. I'm guessing his parents are not the only rude family he has. And they expected OP to cook for them after coming over late and unannounced? I would have sent them packing regardless. I don't tolerate inconsiderate people inconveniencing me at my home. Also, yes, they do need permission to come over spontaneously and uninvited. I get that family likes to just drop by, but you also have to ask permission before showing up. If my mom stops by with zero warning, she gets to wait outside while I decide if I want to let her into my house. I'd guess that they would have been offended and upset no matter what OP did. Cooked an amazing non-Italian meal and rolled out the red carpet for them? She's making us feel like guests in our own son's home, and she thinks she's too good for Italian food. Managed a traditional, delicious Italian meal? So, she thinks she's Italian just because she's dating our son. She tried to outdo us with this meal, and she didn't even ask for our input or help. She thinks she knows better than us. She asked them what they'd like for takeout. She made her guests figure out their dinner. What a horrible host. Next time she should just order Olive Garden. They want to be insulted by fake Italian food? Olive Garden is the way to go. Pizza by comparison is tame and hardly even just an Italian thing anymore. Anyway, why is it your responsibility to order dinner? Your boyfriend was there, and they're his parents. He should have been responsible for providing dinner. My mother-in-law has stayed with my husband and me for almost 2 months. It is driving me up the wall. She constantly rearranges the furniture and throws out food she doesn't like. My husband won't make her go home. We're expecting, and he thinks that I'll need the help. I very much may, but I don't want it from her. I have all kinds of hormones, and I want my husband to take care of my needs, but he won't with his mom in the house. She also loves to come into our room at night. She usually knocks, but not always. My husband went out of town for the weekend to his friend's wedding. If I had called, he could have been home in 2 hours, so I'm okay with him going. My mother-in-law chose to come into my room last Saturday night to discuss who knows what. It didn't go well. We just stared at each other. Finally, she went beet red and slammed the door. I called my husband and told him that I wanted her out. She called him and said I'm a maniac. My husband has finally agreed to let me put a lock on the bedroom door. I told him that if she was still here in a week, I would be moving into my grandparents' house until she was gone. I just want my privacy and my husband back. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your mother-in-law is projecting. It sounds like she's the real maniac if she likes barging in on her baby boy during intimate hours. And your husband letting you put a lock on the door? I'd call that a day late and $1 short. But even that is too generous. You have a mother-in-law problem, dear. People get salty about ultimatums, but this was the correct use of one, assuming you will follow through on it. This is a situation that will break your marriage if it goes unchecked. You don't have a mother-in-law problem. You have a husband problem. It is his and your home. If you had a visitor that made him uncomfortable, I'm sure he would expect you to kick them out. It's not about a lock on a door. She clearly doesn't understand that the house is not under her control, and he's not clarified that to her. So make mama's boy make a decision, or you'll live with these visits for the rest of your life. Throwing out food is clearly just showing you who's boss. It's no mistake. Pack up mother-in-law's stuff today and tell her she's leaving. Don't wait for hubby's help. Your house, your rules. Don't be pushed around like this. It should not be your problem if your husband wants to live with his mom.